Today I'm going to show you how to use the converter, which converts the CSV and QBO files to IIF files. And more importantly, how to use the definition editor, which does all the heavy lifting for you. So first we're going to go ahead and load a CSV file. Or it could have been a QBO, but I already have a demo file set up, so we're going to use that instead. So we're going to go ahead and load the test directory and demo. All right. So at this point, we could just do a select all, give it an account to put it into, click set default, convert to IIF, and import straight into QuickBooks. It's actually that simple. But the real cool part of the program is the definition editor. And today I'm going to show you how it works, what it does, and how easy it is to use. So let's go ahead and say create and edit a definition file. And we're going to go ahead and create one because we don't have one. And we'll call it demo. So what this does, this allows you, and for this first example, to take a name of a transaction and simply rename it and give it a new name, one that you would normally give it to in QuickBooks. Here's an example. Hy-Vee. Well, when Hy-Vee Lamar's comes into my QuickBooks, and it's going to say, what do you want to match? I want to match Hy-Vee Lamar's. Replace with, and when it comes in my QuickBooks, it is put in under just regular Hy-Vee. So I recommend going into your QuickBooks and copying and pasting what you would normally rename them to. That way you don't mistype them and this program puts them in the wrong spot. So I'm going to copy and paste it and put it in Hy-Vee. Now this could be toilet paper, this could be food. So this one I don't really put into an account because it could be anything. I normally let this program specify Premier Debit Offset, and I just go into that account when I import all my transactions, and the ones that are in that account, those are the ones that I really couldn't specify an account for. So I got to kind of go through them one by one and figure out what the heck they were, and then do it that way. So for now, we're going to click add item to list. It's going to say, do you want to put it in Premier Debit Offset? I'm like, sure. Now, let's take PayPal Transfer. It always comes in as PayPal Transfer. Okay, so that's what we're going to match. But in QuickBooks, I always rename it to, and give me just a second to find it. I always rename it to PayPal. And in QuickBooks, I always put it into Online Payment Services, PayPal. Add item to list. Now here's one, Premier Communications. This is my internet bill, but it also includes my telephone. So let's go ahead and split this transaction. So what to match? Premier Communications. And that came in on the 20th. Give me a second to find it. And here it is. I'm just copying and pasting from my QuickBooks. All right. Now the first amount's always telephone. That's always $31. So that would be the amount one. So amount one to account one. So that would go into the account business telephone. All right. That would now split once. Now the remaining amount of that would be $109.22. So we're going to say amount to $109.22. And we're going to put that into that account. Now I'm copying and pasting from my QuickBooks from previous transactions. Now the beauty is when you import this into QuickBooks, it's already split. You don't have to rename the transaction. You don't have to double click on the transaction and do this for that and this for that. It's done for you. You might have to come in here periodically and edit the amount should your bill go up, and then just click update the total. But that's it. Add item to list. Yeah, and this is going to say it's empty. What happens when you say yes on a split transaction is it just puts the word split. So don't worry about that. That's fine. Now, credit cards. Now my Verizon, this is my landline right here. My Verizon is always billed to my credit card. And what it is, it's $37.96 if that's the only transaction on my credit card. But what if it's not? Some months I could have 5 or 6 things on my credit card, then they wouldn't always match the $37.96. So I thought, well, what if we make a new item, and what to match? We're going to match Visa payment. And when was that? That was on the 6th. So let me find a previous transaction on the 6th. There it is. And when the amount of that transaction is $37.96, that will always be my business telephone Verizon. And we can even give it a memo. Verizon, and we're going to rename this to Visa. So now, when we import our CSV file, if Visa matches $37.96, always put it under my business telephone, which would be my Verizon telephone, and give it the memo of Verizon. Okay? And we're going to say add to list. Now, deposits. I always do mine digitally, and I always, right-click in QuickBooks, make deposits. My deposits that I import here, they're already in QuickBooks. And you don't want them to come back into QuickBooks because then you duplicate, you have to delete a deposit. So preferably you'd want to uncheck them before they import. Check them before you make the IIF file. But it can also do it automatically. There's a button here that says select all except ignore. So here's how that works. What to match? We're going to match deposit. We're going to replace it with, doesn't really matter, we're just going to say to replace with deposit because we're not going to use you anyway. And the account is ignore. Any account with a name ignore will automatically get unchecked. So we're going to add item to list. So what should happen now is if we load the definition pattern file, you will see Shazam. In this list, it handled everything. And if we do select all except ignore, when we import this into QuickBooks, it's all done. I mean, we'll have to go to the Premier Debit Offset. It will keep the name IV. We won't have to rename it, but we will have to specify what these were. But PayPal has been renamed to PayPal, been put in PayPal. My telephone's been handled. It's put over there. My Premier's been split. So you can see if you import a lot of transactions that are always the same, and even the names will get renamed no matter what. If you have 50, 60 transactions, a good chunk of them will automatically be handled for you, and you won't have to touch them one bit. So in my case, when I normally would have to handle 50 transactions, now I have to handle 9 because they're Walmart and Hy-Vee, and I got to tell them where to go. But what used to take me a half an hour now takes me just a couple minutes. So that is the power of the definition editor and how to use it. Hope you enjoy. Thanks.